Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Louise, if you're new here. Today I thought we would try and film a little reading vlog because I've been watching a lot of reading vlogs recently. I've been reading a lot in 2022 and I've been watching a lot of BookTube, and my favourite videos to watch are these reading vlogs, and I thought it would be fun to have a go at filming my own, and I thought it would be fun to do it this weekend because on my library app that I use the BorrowBox app where you can get ebooks and audiobooks for free via your library, and there are two books that I'm really excited about that have become available, so I'm going to try and read those this weekend, and I thought it would just be fun to film a little vlog. There's also some other stuff I want to do. Today is Friday and I'm thinking I'm going to film Friday, Saturday, Sunday and try and read those two books in that time. Given they're both thrillers and one of them's an audiobook, I think that's quite doable because thrillers are very fast paced and should be quite easy to fly through. But I also want to film some sit down YouTube videos, which I think I'm going to do now. I probably will do some crafts, I'll probably do some cooking. I have a couple of plans with my friends this weekend, but I probably won't film those because I always feel awkward filming with other people around. So I do have a social life, but this video probably won't make it look like it because I probably just won't film those things. Like, we have some plans Saturday evening and I probably just won't film that at all, but I do have a social life, I promise. I also need to apply for some jobs because I'm now unemployed and I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to just apply for like 1 or 2 jobs a day because applying for jobs is not fun, so I'm trying to just do 2 a day and not think about it too much otherwise because if I think about it too much I get really stressed. So I'm trying to just, get it out of the way in the morning and then just not think about it again for the next day. Okay, so those are my plans for this weekend and what I'll be getting up to in this vlog. Now I'll talk about these books. So one is an audiobook and one is an ebook. So I'm probably going to read them simultaneously, which I don't think will be confusing for me because they seem like quite different books and quite different plots, but it might be a little bit confusing for this vlog, so I'll try and keep things clear. But the reason I'm going to do that is because I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm doing stuff, like when I'm walking, when I'm cooking, when I'm cleaning, when I'm doing crafts, I will listen to an audiobook, and then when I'm actually sat down reading, I will read the ebook. So the first book is The Night Swim, and I heard Meg with Books talking about this and I just thought it sounded really interesting, so I reserved it on my library. I'm not sure I would have tried it if it wasn't available on my library, or maybe it would have taken me longer to get around to it, but I saw that it was available on the app and I was like, oh, let's give it a go. So let me actually read to you the blurb because I have no clue what this is about. The new season of Rachel's podcast has brought her to a small town being torn apart by a devastating rape trial. A local golden boy, a swimmer destined for Olympic greatness, has been accused of raping the beloved granddaughter of the police chief. Under pressure to make season 3 a success, Rachel throws herself into the investigation, but then mysterious letters keep coming, surrounding the death of her sister 25 years ago. Officially, Jenny Stills tragically drowned, but the letters insist she was murdered, and when Rachel starts asking questions nobody in town wants to answer, the past and present start to collide as Rachel uncovers startling connections between the two cases, and a revelation that will change the course of the trial and the lives of everyone involved. So that sounds really interesting, but the thing that made me want to read this is that people said because it's the protagonist in this book is a podcast host, if you listen to the audiobook, I believe parts of the audiobook sound like listening to a podcast. And I was like, that sounds like so much fun. So that's the reason I wanted to listen to it, because everyone said that the podcast element of this is really fun and that it comes across really well in the audiobook. I think it is there in the book, but everyone's like, you have to listen to the audiobook because it just is so much more convincing, because it feels like you're listening to a podcast. So that's the audiobook that I have. Okay, and then the ebook that I have to read is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, which I'm really excited for because last month I read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager and I absolutely loved it. I just couldn't put it down, it just gripped me. So I'm hoping this one will be just as good. I believe this is about a hotel and there's some paranormal stuff going on. That's all I really know. Let me read you the blurb. No visitors, no nights spent away from the apartment, no disturbing the other residents, all of whom are rich or famous or both. These are the only rules for Jewel Larson's new job as an apartment sitter at the Bartholomew, one of Manhattan's most high-profile mysterious buildings. Recently heartbroken and just plain broke, Jules is taken in by the splendour of her surroundings and accepts the terms, ready to leave her past life behind. As she gets to know the residents and staff of the Bartholomew, Jules finds herself drawn to fellow apartment sitter Ingrid, who comfortingly reminds her of her sister she lost 8 years ago. What is it with these dead sisters? When Ingrid finds that the Bartholomew is not what it seems and that the dark history hidden behind its gleaming facade is starting to frighten her, Jules brushes it off as harmless ghost stories until the next day when Ingrid disappears. Searching for the truth about Ingrid's disappearance, Jules digs deeper into the Bartholomew's sordid past and into the secrets kept within its walls. What she discovers pits Jules against the clock as she races to unmask a killer, expose the building's hidden past, and escape the Bartholomew before her temporary status becomes permanent. Sounds very interesting, and I am just going into it a little bit blind because I loved Home Before Dark so much. And I'll be very interested to see if this book is paranormal or not, because Home Before Dark was very much like, is it paranormal? Is it not paranormal? Is it like it kept going backwards and forwards? And I think this book is going to be similar. So I'm interested to see, and yeah, I'm very excited for both of these books. I think we're going to stop filming there before the intro gets any longer. The first thing I'm going to do today is film those sit-down YouTube videos that I was talking about, so I'll do that, and then I'll check in with you and we can start our first book. Hello, so it's now been a couple of hours since I filmed that intro. In that time, I filmed the 2 sit-down YouTube videos that I wanted to film, which is good. And then I went to the shops with my friends. We're planning a dinner party of sorts for tomorrow, and we went and bought all of the food for that, which is fun. And I need to make a cheesecake at some point today or tomorrow. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, but I am really struggling with a headache. I've had a headache for the last like week or so. I think it's related to my anxiety and my medication. I honestly don't know. But I've had a headache on and off for the last week or so, and it seems to vary how bad it is. But right now, all I want to do is curl up in bed. So I think what I'm going to do is curl up in bed and start the audiobook, because I think I just need to close my eyes for a bit. But my brain is awake and like I feel awake. So I think I'm going to curl up in bed and close my eyes and listen to the audiobook for an hour or so, and give myself a bit of a break, and hopefully the headache will go down, and then we can do something a bit more fun this afternoon. Hello, so it's a little bit later. I'm currently curled up in bed, and I've now listened to about the first 2 hours of the Night Swim audiobook. I was going to say podcast, but it's an audiobook. And so far, what's happening is we have our main protagonist is called Rachel, and she is a podcast host. She runs a true crime podcast, and it's, been really successful. And she has decided for the next season of her podcast that she is going to go to this small town and document as it's happening this rape trial, which I think is going to be really interesting because there's already been discussion about, how controversial rape can be and why we blame women for rape and things like that. There's already been some discussion of that, so I think that's going to be really interesting. So that's happening. But at the same time, she's also receiving letters from this girl called Hannah, who is acting like a real stalker because Hannah wants her, because she knows that this woman is a successful investigative journalist podcast person. She wants her to help solve the mystery of her sister and how her sister died many years ago. And she's like, you're my last hope. The police haven't been able to work it out. I want you, because I know you're so clever, to solve this mystery. But she's doing it in such a stalkery way. Like, why? So clearly there's something going on there. And that's basically all that's happened so far. But it's been a really good start to the book. Like, it's a good setting. I like the characters. I'm hooked. I want to know why Hannah is acting so weird. I want to know what's going to happen with his rape trial. Like, I feel excited to keep going, which is obviously the only thing you can ask for from the start of the book. I still have a raging headache, which is fun. But I feel like people who struggle with headaches will be able to relate to this. But like, I'm bored and I want to do something, and I've had headaches on and off for the last week or so. And I'm sick of letting them control my life. So obviously I'm trying to like balance it, but like sometimes you're like, I'm just going to push through because I don't want to lie in the dark anymore. I've done that. So what I want to do now is I want to edit and upload one of the YouTube videos that I filmed this morning. I filmed a February reading wrap up, and I want to try and get that up today before it gets too far into March. So that's my plan for the next hour or so, and then we'll see. Hello, so I have finished editing the video. It's now rendering. This is my February reading wrap up, and I'm going to try and upload it this evening. But I still have a miserable headache. I should take some painkillers, I know, because I have headaches so often. I'm trying not to take too many painkillers, but it is really annoying me at the moment. But also I have no food in the house for dinner. Nothing that I'm excited to eat anyway, and because I'm feeling kind of sorry for myself, I kind of want to treat myself to something nice for dinner. So I also have no snacks, and I am a person who needs snacks. So I think I'm going to go to the shops and find myself some food and some snacks. And then we'll just have a quiet evening because my head cannot take anything else. It is now Sunday. I didn't film anything yesterday, I'm afraid. So on Friday, after I left you, after I filmed the last update, I just had a really quiet evening. I ended up going to bed really early because I did have quite a bad headache that day. And then yesterday was a really fun day. We hosted a murder mystery dinner party with my flatmates and a few other friends. And it was really good fun, and we spent most of the daytime like preparing for it. Like we had to cook all the food and sort things out, and then obviously in the evening we did the dinner party. So it was a really lovely day, but I didn't film anything because I was with other people, and I don't know, I feel really weird about vlogging around other people. So yeah, that's what I did yesterday. I also managed to listen to a couple more hours of The Night Swim. So I'll update you on that because I'm close to 50% of the way through now. I managed to listen to it while I was doing things yesterday. So far I'm still really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the like rape trial and the coverage of that case that's happening. You know, all the things you normally hear about rape cases where like, is it the woman's fault for being immodestly dressed? You know, does she have the right to ruin this boy's life? Because if he's convicted, he'll be sent to prison, and obviously he's the guy who's been accused of rape is an Olympic, or he's training to be an Olympic swimmer, and he's probably going to lose that. And he's already had so much backlash, even though he's not been found guilty yet. And is that fair? And I think it's doing a really good job of exploring all of those things. However, I will say it makes me think that he did rape her and that they are going to convict him, because I think it would be so weird to talk about this stuff in the way that they're talking about it and then have it turn out that it didn't happen or that they won't convict him. If they do, I think they'll have to like explain or like talk about that. So that's interesting. But then the other case, like the historic case that we're learning about, with this woman Hannah and her sister Jenny, is odd. It's very bizarre. We're slowly learning about it, but things just aren't adding up, which I guess is the idea. Like, it's not meant to make sense yet. But I'm very suspicious about it. Like, whenever we are learning about that case, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I also think there's something very fishy going on with Hannah, because Rachel, our main character, keeps trying to meet with Hannah, and Hannah keeps being like, oh, I was shy, I'm sorry, like, and leaving her letters instead of meeting her face to face. So we're uncovering her story through these letters that she's leaving around for our main character Rachel to find, instead of just meeting her face to face. And like, she keeps saying like, oh, I'm shy, but I think we can't see her face for a reason. That's my prediction. I don't know what that reason is, no clue, but I predict that there's a reason that she doesn't want Rachel to see who she is. So that's what's going on. Today is Sunday. My plans for today: firstly, I need to edit and upload another YouTube video. I filmed one about dropping out of university and all that stuff, and I want to get that edited and uploaded today. Secondly, I have a FaceTime call planned with one of my internet friends, and then I want to do lots of reading. Those are my plans for the day. That's my entire plans. So hopefully, I'm really interested in The Night Swim. I know I said I was going to read these two books in parallel, but I kind of just want to finish The Night Swim and find out what's happening, and then we'll start Lock Every Door after that. Maybe. Like, I'm just too invested in it, and I want to know what happens rather than starting the other book. Okay, so it might not look like it because I'm in exactly the same place, but it's a few hours later, and I have done the two things that I wanted to do today. So I have edited and uploaded the YouTube video talking about why I'm dropping out of university. So if you want to go and watch that, I uploaded that. And then secondly, I FaceTimed with my friend and we chatted for like 2.5 hours. But it was lovely. It was so lovely to catch up with her. And now I have no more plans for the rest of the day. And what I really want to do is finish this audiobook. I know I said I was going to read these books in parallel, but that just hasn't happened. I just haven't had much time to sit down and like physically read. Now's kind of the first chance I have, but to be honest, I'm so hooked into this audiobook that I kind of want to finish it instead. So what I'm going to do is some colouring in. Because this is what I do because I'm sad. I'm going to sit here and colour in and listen to my audiobook. I think I've got about 4 hours left, but knowing me, I'll listen to it on at least 1.5 speed, so who knows how long it'll take, but it's like 5 p.m, so I think I'm going to try and finish that today, and once I finished it, I will obviously give you my final thoughts on that book. And then we will read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. However, this vlog is obviously going to have to take a few more days than I anticipated, just because I wasn't able to do as much reading over the last few days as I thought I would be able to, but I am going to keep this vlog going and try and read that book as well. Hello, good morning. It is now Monday morning. Hopefully you can't hear the school children. I live near a school and it appears to be break time because they're being very noisy. But hopefully you can't hear it too much. But today is Monday morning, as I said. I've got a couple of things to do today. I have therapy today. That's like the only thing I have scheduled in my diary. But I also want to apply for some more jobs because I've been trying to apply for jobs, but I've kind of been ignoring it for the last few days because job hunting is stressful, so I let myself have a few days off, but I really need to get back into it, so I'm going to try and do that. I think first thing I'm going to do that now, and try and apply for like 4 or 5 jobs, and then it's just out of the way and done. And then this afternoon I'll be able to spend the whole day reading, I think. So that's my plan for today. And the other thing that I need to update you on is that I finished The Night Swim last night, and I wanted to give you my final thoughts on it. So the first thing I have to say is this book was really not what I was expecting, because this book is marketed as a thriller, and it kind of is a thriller, but I don't think the thriller aspects are what's good about this book. Because this book is almost simultaneously, on the one hand we have this courtroom drama about a rape trial, and it's very much exploring you know, the consequences of what happens when someone is raped, like, or sexually assaulted. You know, how the victim is blamed and is often portrayed to be you know, promiscuous, and it was their fault, and they are trying to, you know, pull this man down, because the boy that's been accused of sexual assault is like a sportsman, like he's training to become an Olympic swimmer. And so he's really well loved by the town because he's going to go on to become an Olympic swimmer. Everyone knows who he is. He's got thousands of followers on Instagram, and they're talking about that. And, you know, what does it mean for his life if he gets convicted? And is it fair that he's already lost so many, like he's already lost his scholarship and a lot of his sponsorships before he's even been convicted? Is that fair? Is it fair that he loses those opportunities even once he is convicted? Like, I think it's a really interesting discussion, and I think the book did a really good job of talking about that, and you know, talking about what it means when someone is sexually assaulted and all of the various things, and I thought that was really well done in this book. However, this book is not marketed as that. This book is marketed as a thriller, and while that's happening, we also have this case that happened 25 years ago that we're slowly learning about, and we learn that there are definitely parallels between these two cases, which I feel like is a typical thriller format. I've only just gotten into thrillers recently, but it seems really common that something happened 25 years ago and something's happened now, and oh, there's some coincidences. Like, that is a very common trope in thriller books. But for me, this case that happened 25 years ago isn't really adding anything to the book. It's adding this thriller vibe and feeling because we're slowly learning what happened. And as I said, this girl Hannah is acting really sketchily. But I just don't think it added anything to the book. Because firstly, like I said, this girl Hannah, these are kind of spoilers, but they're not too spoilery. But this girl Hannah is acting really sketchily, and then you find out it's just because she's anxious. Like, I was like, oh, there must be a reason why she doesn't want us to see her face. No, she's just shy. What? Like, no, it was so weird. And secondly, when you find out who committed this crime 25 years ago, it's not a surprise. You're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I didn't guess it because there were a few different ways it could have gone. But when I was told, I was like, oh, okay, like, that makes sense. Like, it wasn't a shock. And so I'm almost like, why did we have that there? So, I don't know. What I was going to say is this book really reminded me of Beartown by Fredrik Backman, which I absolutely loved and gave 5 stars, because that is a book about this small insular town, similar to The Night Swim, but this town is in Sweden, I think, in like the forests of Sweden, and it's about this town where the ice hockey star sexually assaults this teenage girl. So we have that parallel there, like it's, you know, a teenage boy sexually assaulting a teenage girl, and he is a sports star, and so the town love him, and she's like blamed for bringing him down, even though really all she's trying to do is get justice. But I think what Beartown does so well is that Beartown is a contemporary book, and it explores how this affects everyone in this town and how everyone in this town feels about this. And that's done really well in Beartown, and I gave that 5 stars. And I feel like The Night Swim could have been a better book if it had leaned more into that. I think it was just trying to do too many things at once. It was trying to talk about rape culture and sexual assault and what that means for the people involved and for the town, while also trying to be a thriller. And I think therefore it fell short in both because it was trying to do too many things. So those are my thoughts. I think I gave it 3 stars in the end, which is, like I said, it wasn't a bad book, but in hindsight, I'm not sure I would recommend it. But there we go. I enjoyed the podcast aspect of it, and I would definitely be intrigued to read more books that have a similar format because I found that really enjoyable. It was good as an audiobook because there's so many different characters and like different aspects to it. So I enjoyed it for that. And because it was an audiobook, I got through it very quickly. So I don't really feel like it was a waste of my time, but I wasn't blown over by it. But yeah, as I say, I've got a few things to do this morning, and then I'm going to go to therapy, and then after therapy I have the whole afternoon to read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, which I'm very excited for. Hello, good morning. It's now Tuesday morning. I'm not sure how much I updated you yesterday, and I don't think I mentioned this, but I completely forgot that I was going out to dinner last night with my flatmates. But we did that and it was really wonderful, but by the time I got home from that I was just shattered. I have a lot less energy at the moment than I've had in previous times in my life, and so by the time we got home it was literally like 9 p.m. and I just got into bed and went to sleep. But yesterday in the afternoon, between like going to therapy and going out for dinner, I did manage to read the first, I think, about 40% of Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, so I thought I would give you a quick update on where I've got to. So far it kind of is still just setting the scene. I have to admit that I'm not as big a fan of this as I was of Home Before Dark. Home Before Dark just captivated me and I read the whole book in like 24 hours, like I just couldn't put it down. Whereas this book is still very fast paced and very easy to read, and I probably will read it very quickly. I'm hoping I'll finish it today. But it's not captivating me in the same way. I haven't got that sense of like, oh my god, I need to drop everything and read this book that I had with Home Before Dark. I'm enjoying the setting. It's set in this Bartholomew Hotel, which is this like old, very grand hotel, and I'm enjoying that atmosphere. However, I think I was hoping for more paranormal elements. I just really was in the mood to read something with like some little spooky things going on, whereas that isn't really happening. So far there's been 2 big events that have happened that are currently unexplained. I won't say what they are so that I don't spoil it, but 2 big things have happened, but neither unnecessarily paranormal. They could easily be something else, and there hasn't been many. There's been like 1 or 2 tiny things that are a bit creepy, but I really wanted like lots of little creepy things going on, and that isn't what we've got so far. So I have to admit I'm a bit disappointed by that, but that's just because I went into this book with expectations that you know, and it hasn't been the book that I thought it would be. Like, that doesn't mean it's a bad book. But I'm enjoying the setting. I don't mind the characters, but I don't love them. But I think that's a common thing in thrillers, because in thrillers a lot of the time the point is the plot, not the characters. So I have to admit, I say I'm not that attached to the characters, but that's because it's a thriller. But yeah, I don't feel bad about it. At the moment I would probably give it like a 3-star, 3.5 star, but hopefully the ending, or as we get towards the end, it will really pick up and I'll be able to give it a better rating than that as things go on. So yeah, I don't think I really have any plans for today. I want to apply for some more jobs. I managed to apply for 6 yesterday, which is pretty good, but I want to try and apply for at least another 3 today. Is the task that I'm setting myself, and I want to finish this book, and then anything else that happens is a bonus. So I will check back in with you when I'm a bit further through Lock Every Door. Okay, I'm like 2/3 of the way through the book now, maybe slightly more than that, and it's getting very tense. A lot has happened in like the middle third of the book since I last updated you, and now I'm like hooked and want to know what happens, so I'm definitely pleased with that. And I think I know what the ending is going to be. I don't want to say it because I feel like it is going to be the ending and I don't want to spoil it, but I think I know. We've been told who the protagonist thinks the bad guy is, but I think it's more complicated than that. I think there's a lot of people in on this, is all I'm going to say. I think it's a big ring of people in on this. I don't think there's one bad guy. I also think it is going to be kind of paranormal, which is kind of what I want. Like, I just wanted it to be a paranormal ending. I think there is going to be like a slightly paranormal element to it. But yeah, I'm getting up to the, it's been going like 6 days earlier, 5 days earlier, 4 days earlier, 3 days earlier, 2 days earlier. And then in between each of those, we get like now chapters, but those now chapters are literally like 1 page long. And she's basically just in this hospital room. But we're slowly in the lead up to it. And I've now reached 1 day earlier. So we're getting close to the actual event happening. And then I think it does continue beyond. It's like 1 day later, 2 days later, 3 days later. I think it goes on for a few more days. So I'm excited to find out what happens, and I'm very excited to race through this. I think I might go have some lunch first though, because I'm getting kind of hungry. It's like almost 2 p.m. So I think I need to go eat some lunch first, and then I might just sit and finish this book. Not to say I'm a genius, but I freaking called it. But there's like 100 pages left, so there's got to be a twist. And what is that? Also, I'm in my bed because it's cold. It's like March and it's freezing, so I just spend most of the day in bed just because it's cold. Please forgive me. So I finished the book. I was kind of right, but not fully. I definitely fell for like the red herring. The thing that I thought was happening was what the characters thought was happening. And then they're like, no, of course it's not that, it's this. And you're like, oh, yeah. Which I kind of like had in the back of my mind. I was like, maybe it's not that, it's this. So I had like considered that to be a possibility. But I think I can't decide if I'm happy or not. It's hard to say too much because I don't want to give it away. But overall, I'm relatively happy with the book. However, I have to admit I'm a little bit disappointed by it. I think just because I had such high expectations for it. I'm probably going to give it either a 3.5 or a 4 star. And I can't decide which. I definitely preferred Home Before Dark just because I think that had a better atmosphere. This one had a cleverer plot, I think. I don't know, I can't decide. I'm very new to reading thrillers. I've only really just started reading them. And I feel like thrillers are such a saturated genre that there's a lot of them that are really bad. And most of the ones I've read so far have been like really mediocre. I'm not sure I'm ever going to give a thriller book 5 stars. Like, I can't see that happening, because the things that make me love a book and make me love it so much I want to give it 5 stars are not things that you see in thrillers. But they're fun to read. I think mostly just because they're so fast-paced, they're fun to read. And so I'm going to keep reading thrillers, and I'm going to keep reading. I really want to read the rest of Riley Sager's books, because they're really intriguing, but they are just fun books that I'm going to give 3 or 4 stars. I have to admit I am a little bit disappointed, but I think that's just because my expectations were so high. And as I say, I'm not quite sure what to rate it. I'll have to think about it. But I think we're going to leave the video here. Thank you for joining me in my first ever reading vlog. I'm aware that the quality and that this could be better, but this is my first ever one, so I'm excited to make more and improve over time. I think my next reading vlog is going to be, or I have an idea of doing like, sorry, I'm sat on my like toes and it's really, I'm thinking about doing a vlog that's like reading really popular books, because I've reserved some audiobooks from my library of like, I won't say what they are, but some really, really popular books, or like the current trending books. So I think it would be fun to do a reading vlog where I read some of those like really popular books, and give you my thoughts on them. But yeah, if there's any particular reading vlogs that you want to see, let me know, because it's something that I definitely want to film more of and try and get better at, because they're the thing that I love watching. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. My name's Louise, and if you want to learn more about me, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Louise's Life. And thank you for watching.